we welcome you.
Before introducing our chief guest, I request our seminar secretary to read out the proceeding of the previous seminar.
Honorable chief guest, sir, respected HOD ma'am, faculty members, and my fellow friends and juniors.
So friends, don't look at you as students of BJB college. You are about 15 year or 20 year discounted value of CEO of some company or some great person who will be doing policies and programs of this world for the advantage of mankind. But don't be greedy for yourself. Try to be good for the nation, good for the people, good for the society. So friends, in fact, when I had a very big history, and one of my batchmate and friend who was your principal, he's sitting here. So we have got very big history. Had I been in government of India, Odisha, I would have retired by now. Fortunately, I have not served government of Odisha. That's why I am still going strong. I don't know when I will retire. So economists never retire. So you are in a profession which is non-recessionary, no retiring, and you can run the world by your contradictions and confusions. Fortunately, during C means Southeast Asian economic crisis, India did nothing, that's why India survived. So similarly, we should do nothing so that our response will be good. If we do something, there will be so many contradictions that we will be confused. But however, in fact, because we did nothing, nothing much happened. So during current crisis, it is not so. Because at that time when the world was in crisis, we were growing at 8.5%. But currently you must have seen that we have already slipped to 7%. That means our connectivity with the world has been established. Economic connectivity of the world. So before, how much time you will give, ma'am? 10-15 minutes, sir?
You take your own time.
But will you have patience? Yes. If you are economist, you will have, because it's dangerous to have a mic, because for many days I have not spoken. If you give a mic to a professor who has not spoken for many days, he will make your life miserable. Anyway, you must have heard the name of several economists. But now currently, the world from 2008 is throwing the names of new economists whose names might not be appearing in your textbooks. If I ask you, have you heard of somebody called Chris Dodd? Have you heard of somebody called Barney, Frank? Or have you heard of somebody called Volcker? These are the economists which your children will hear, not John Stuart Mills or not your Marshalls or whatever names you go through. Or maybe you might have come up to Bernanke, I do not know. Have you heard of Bernanke? Some of you have heard Bernanke. He is the Federal Reserve Chief at present. He was, or for that matter, Hubbard. These are the economic names which used to be making round, but these are growth economists. There are growth economists, there are social economists. But nowadays, a new breed of economists have come, and do you know what is their name? Degrowth economics. They are the economists of degrowth. And the three top degrowth economists are Volcker, Dodd, and Barney, that is Frank. In fact, the newest law of USA, which will now govern the economics of the world for at least next 10 years, are called our Dodd and Frank Act. I'll request some of you who want to be the world movers to just have a, nowadays it is not difficult to find out what they have said. You just go to Google or go to some browser and give a command, Dodd-Frank Act, and you will get everything about the current economics. So now, why world is reinventing such type of new economics? Because they found all the economics that are written, they were continuous phenomena. Now world is showing return phenomena. What do we mean by return phenomena? There was a super cyclone in Odisha. You must have been, as youngsters, you must have encountered super cyclone of Odisha. You must have seen yourself super cyclone of Odisha. Will your son see super cyclone of Odisha? No, because it is a 400-year return phenomena. This super cyclone occurs in the world once in 400 years, unfortunately occurred in Odisha. a cyclone of this magnitude, this is called stochastics of disaster economics. Every disaster has got a return period. For example, Latu earthquake has got a return period of 12 years. So every event has got a return period, and that is called the stochastics of economic events. So similarly, recessions have got a return period also. Nobody can wish away by a continuous economics that the world will be governed by these economic laws. These laws will be futile at the time of, if some of you now, a new class of economics is coming up also called econophysics. You might, have you heard of econophysics? So these are the updatedness up to which world has to rise itself for preparing itself for untoward discontinuities. There were a day when, suppose you are working in a bank and bank chairman was telling that you grow your business by 20%. 20% was very ambitious. 10%. Our GDP grows by 8.5%. And that's very ambitious, whereas GDP is negative in some countries and grows at a 0.5% of 1%, 2%. We are growing, so we are called to be the second biggest GDP growing country among the bigger countries. So the percentages were 8%, 10%, 20%. These were the percentages. But nowadays, what is the percentage? People are talking of 1 million %. You go to, you have heard of inflation. What is the percentage of inflation you can tolerate? People have heard of 18%, 17%. In India, where we had a rolling plans when we had 18% inflation. We had a 3-year rolling plan during the period. But do you know, inflation in Zimbabwe is 1 million %. Have you heard of 1 million % inflation? So there is a country in the world where inflation is 1 million %. And recently they discounted their currency by how much? 1 with 14 zeros. 1 with 14 zero currency became one currency. So that is the type of inflation. If people say that, suppose you ask, bhai, what is the price of egg? By chance your friend came, you are going in a scooter and your friend came, told, friend, how are you? You told, I am fine. Then you turn around, you pay that much of money and ask for the egg. No sir, I had told you about two seconds back. Now egg price has doubled. So you have to pay more. Don't talk to your friend when you ask for the price. Okay? So that is the type of inflation. Have you heard of this kind of economics? Now world is encountering and Zimbabweans are also thriving with this kind of, these are called disruptive economics. Now whatever are known phenomena, with that you can live in a classroom, but you cannot live in the real world. In the real world, now there are application economics, as I told you, disruptive economics, degrowth economics. So these are the new kind of economics which are coming in response to the newer phenomena in the world. So are you scared or are you happy? Happy. Because your brain will be put to use. So friends, this is the because I know I cannot be serious like your professors in economics, so I wanted to tell you this is the time of metamorphosis that is happening in the world, and we are living in interesting times, particularly we Indians and Chinese. So friends, till yesterday, till Indira Gandhi was there, when Indira Gandhi went to Lyndon Johnson's Darbar, Lyndon Johnson told, when you came with your father, you were a student of Santiniketan and you had done a beautiful Rabindra Sangeet dance. And he told Prime Minister of India to dance in White House. Some of you might not be born at that time, and some of you who are born, they must have known. Our Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was asked to dance in the White House. Why? Because she had gone to beg for wheat. Then she came from there, Indira Gandhi being what she is. She returned from there and called my current day governing board member, Mr. Swaminathan, who is governing board member of my university and with whom we are starting the agribusiness MBA program. So he called him and told Swaminathan, I want to borrow money but not wheat. And they made India self-sufficient food grain. And the day India became self-sufficient food grain, India from a beggar country, India became a market. And now we didn't go for borrowing wheat, we went for getting FDI. They put money in India because India's story was very tempting. And India became a sort of recession proof because India has got an internal market. Unlike, say, Korea, or unlike, say, Vietnam, or unlike Malaysia or Singapore, they will die if outside people do not buy their product. but India will not die, because now we have got a 1.2 billion market. Could you follow? So only paradigm has changed. Requirements, degree has changed. From baser requirement, we have graduated to entrepreneurial requirement. And that is the beauty of economics, that how you state economics makes you rich or poor. The simple thing of balance sheet is that asset and liability must match. So balance sheet will always match whatever way you want to do. So by looking at a balance sheet, you cannot know the quality. When you analyze the balance sheet, then only you can know the quality. Same is true of sovereign balance sheet also, country's balance sheet also. We do not call country's balance sheet, we call it country's budget or long-term plan. So friends, you must have you heard of some classical concepts like Miller or Stone central limit theorem? In economics, there is something called central limit theorem. You know, everything reverts back. You know, when we grow, there are four things happen. What are the four things? One is trend. There is a trend. Suppose fan sales will increase year after year. Is it decreasing or increasing? Fan sales are increasing year after year. So fan sales are increasing. But does it increase monotonically? It has got a trend which increases. But it has got a seasonality. There is more sale in summer and less sale in winter. It has got a seasonality. It has got a cyclicity. When people have a lot of money, when there is no super cyclone, at that time more fan sales. But after super cyclone, fan sale will drop down because people will first look after their emergent repair needs, isn't it? But most interesting is the fourth thing, which is called idiosyncrasies or randomness. There is no rhyme or reason. All of a sudden, everybody becomes spiritual and start doing this to have a hair on the head. I don't do it because I don't have raw material, so I can't procreate. But many people, they do it, you must have seen, because that is the flair of the time. Everybody start talking of corporate governance. That is the flair of the time. Everybody start talking about KYC, that is, know your customer. Everybody, at a particular moment of time, everybody start talking of I am Anna. Everybody start talking of something because that is the flair of the time, and that catches up like wildfire, and that is called randomness. What will come next, you never know. That is the unexplainable part of economics. Trend, seasonality, TSCR, trend, seasonality, cyclicity, and randomness, which is idiosyncrasies. And together they define the economic world. And sometimes the randomness may be so overpowering that your trend is put to naught. So, when you study the economics, you must study with reference to the market. You must study with reference to the syndrome. So, now what happened? Americans suffered from three things. Because of that, world has to endure the recession. What are the three major things? Because I am not going to list out the laundry list, but I am telling you the three major things. The number one thing, America, is that everybody became a overtrader. Bank, whether it is General Motor or it's Ford or it is Chrysler, that is motor companies, manufacturers or banks or insurances, everybody became overtraders. Why? Because they, Shah of Iran, if he wanted to put his money, where he will put his money? Will he put his money in Timbuktu or India? He will put his money in America, thinking that America is a robust country. They told that Shah of Iran, all his money he will put in America. So what America will do? America will live beyond its means because it pays less interest. America will live beyond its means because whereas paying 12%, it will pay only 2%. So 10% money they pocket. Because they pocket. And same money they will lend to India how much? As they will lend to Indian industrialists as foreign institutional loans at 10%, 9%, 12%. Could you follow? And that we call as soft loan, because from India the loan used to be 18% at that time. So this arbitrage was so huge, hot money, and that hot money had behavioralized into permanent money. Like you put your money in savings bank of banks, savings bank account. Do you withdraw every day? You withdraw when you need. As a banker, we had studied, and we found 80% of the saving deposit behave like fixed deposit for 24 months. This is called behavioralization of the deposit. There is something which is statutory, that savings is a demand deposit which can be drawn any day, but behaviorally it is never drawn for a duration of 24 months.
So if bank get CASA means current account and savings account, they call it CASA. If banks get CASA, they actually make an arbitrage of 24 months interest rate minus savings interest rate. And that is the profit which goes to bank's capital contributor. Could you follow? And if the capital can be leveraged, usually banks have 10 times NOF, net owned fund, as they are leveraging, so they multiply it by 10 times. So this is how banks make profit. Even if they go do profligacy, they spend a lot, still they make a profit because they make profit from your behavior. So similarly, because of world behavior, America got spoiled. America got a lot of money, and because of that money, because they got spoiled, what happened? They started overspending. Even in China, they have created a democratic sense. It's not democracy, democratic sense. So there is a decoupling of political theoreticians. In India, there are 22 parties now, and 18 parties were ruling earlier. But economics was independent of the politics. Now economics has been decoupled from politics, largely. Excepting at policy level, at operational level and strategy level, economics is decoupled from politics. Same has happened in America also. And because of that, most countries are now gradually not putting their money in America, they are diversifying. There is something called kinship syndrome. What happens in one country, that is a syndrome of the world. This in economics, there are two things. One is called kinship syndrome, the other is called herd mentality. You know, stock market go the way it goes because of, though our minds are not connected, but our mentalities are herded. So that's why economics goes in a particular way. At a particular time, there are few contrarians. So America is now feeling the wrath of this democratic sense which it itself propagated. It itself said that there should be market economy. It itself that there should be capitalization, and it has become a victim of that. And because of that, America is getting bouncing back, and now economics of America, because of this, people having faith in them, it has changed, but their habits have not changed. The consumers are overspenders. They used to discount their grandson's earning and used to purchase a house in Manhattan. They purchase a house, they purchase cars which they will earn when dying. Whatever they will earn 30 years hence, they take a discount and they buy things. They say that, like our Charbak, only one philosopher, my friend is there, only one philosopher of India had told Javat jive sukham jivet runam krutta gurtum pivet. That was Charbak. So they are following, we have forgotten Charbak, but they are following Charbak very tacitly. That Javat jive sukham, of course Charbak had told Grutam, but they do Madhyam. So Charbak had told potential and store potential energy, but they kinetize everything. So that is the second thing. One is the institutions are overtrading. Second, the people are discounting their future income and spending. That is the second malady. And what is the third malady, which is most important malady? That their Congress is full of very intelligent people. American Congress is full of intelligent people. Once somebody's mind spark gets a little bit of light, he influences everybody, and there is a beautiful herd mentality. In 1999, they did the greatest debacle of the world. They demolished a great economic law, which is called Glass-Steagall Act. Have you heard of Glass-Steagall Act? Please read Glass-Steagall Act. As per Glass-Steagall Act, there used to be American unitary or monoline business houses. The bank cannot produce car, or car company cannot run a bank, or a insurance company cannot have a derivative farm. That is, the functions were segregated. But Glass-Steagall was abolished, GLB was introduced, ground lychee belly was introduced, and India replicated. We also did the same thing. If America has got cold, we also sneeze. So we also replicated it. Glass-Steagall like incident was abolished. We also started bancassurance. We started, and we call it Alfinance, or we call it financial boutiques, financial supermarket. We call it many names. In fact, we imitated it from Germany. Germans, they were crying that they do not have a robust stock market because each of their company is a stock market. Whether it is Krug or Dimag or any company, look at Germany, there are big conglomerates, and each company is like a financial supermarket or real sector supermarket.
But because of Glass-Steagall, America didn't have this. Better it didn't have that. Why better? Because Germany was not inspiring so much of confidence for hot money to come to Germany. So they can afford to conglomerate. But America becoming conglomerate, then AIG happened, then Lehman Brothers happened, because they didn't know that their asset side is buying their own liability. Because liabilities are unitized. This is called, you must have securitization. By a phenomenon called securitization, all liabilities are securitized. They are sold in the market. And the asset manager didn't know that their own liabilities are sold in the market. He bought all those liabilities. And when there was shrinkage in the market, have you heard of haircut? In financial market, there is a fixed cost. When you convert your money to some instrument, there are some fixed costs. You know, you cannot purchase a share without paying commission to broker, isn't it? And when you unwind it again, you have to pay commission. So when your share price appreciates, it must accommodate these two fixed costs. If it doesn't accommodate, you lose money. Even if you get back same to same money, isn't it? And that money is called fixed cost. And to that is added sometimes haircut. Haircut means it doesn't injure your head. If you cut your hair, does it injure your head? But it changes your appearance. You must have heard of Procter & Gamble. Have you heard Procter & Gamble? A company, Procter & Gamble, it's a FMCG company, fast moving consumer good company. There is another big bank called Bankers Trust. You know, Banker Trust went for a particular type of economic instrument with Procter & Gamble, because Procter & Gamble competing with Unilever Limited, Unilever, they were losing their profit. So what they did? They went to their banker, told, sir, how can we earn profit? Nah, why are you going for selling this oil and soap? You deal with us, you will earn profit. It's called treasury profit. So what they gave them, what is famously known as formula. Procter & Gamble lost all its paid-up capital and reserve by that one instrument. So don't stop purchasing Pantene because I told this. Huh? so friends, American companies, they became conglomerarized because of this Glass-Steagall abolition and GLB introduction, and in the process the left hand didn't know what the right hand is doing, or vice versa. And these three things together: number one, over trading by companies; number two, overeating by consumers; number three, the unintelligible financial products born out of greed. These three things together created what is called a world recession. And fortunately, these three things have nothing to do with India, because I remember when I was a student, I was asked, how do you distinguish between India and USA, when I was a student of finance. So I told, sir, when I go, at that time I was living obviously in Bhubaneswar, when I lived in India. So I told, sir, when I go from Bhubaneswar to my bus stand with, at that time $1 was 32 rupees. So when I go with 32 rupees, I purchase a double bread, a double omelette. I don't take Coca-Cola, but still I purchase a Coca-Cola bottle, and still I got some money in my pocket. I come home with 32 rupees at that time. But with $1, if I go to Madison Square, I don't get even a hot dog. But still $1 is called 30 rupees. So this is the difference between India and America, that the exchange parity has nothing to do with people's purchasing power parity. You must have heard of people purchasing, because our consumption bundle is different from America's consumption bundle. Because of that, India remained immune from American recession, because we didn't have so many Pizza Huts, we didn't have so many McDonald's, we didn't have so many KFCs, we didn't have so many American cars on the road. But now things have changed. You must have seen, there are as many American cars, or as many Pizza Huts, or as many McDonald's as there are Chinapod or Buda Pav, isn't it? Because of that, our coupling has increased. And fortunately, we have got as many ambassadors of India as many Indian chains in USA also. You go to USA, you will find in Connecticut, there would be a Nayak who is having a restaurant. You go to Maryland, you will find one Oriya gentleman having a dosa shop there. He says, North South Indian Oriya dosa. Could you follow? So, there has been brand equalization. It has got its merit, it has got its demerit. What seen Americans do, we have to be prepared for that. So that's why, till yesterday, these American idiosyncrasies didn't affect our consumption bundle, because of our consumption bundle changing. But fortunately not at grassroots level.
It is changing after the second layer, that is after the achiever layer, it has changed. That's why we have still 7% growth. But if it changes from the destitute layer upwards, then we will have to be much more responsive to such type of phenomena. I could have elongated, but I just want to say, now only thing that we have to do in India, we have to produce more qualitative goods for our internal consumption, and the producer must eat. That the farmer, it should not be that there should be Uswal Agro who will cultivate all land of India and make a lot of money. The farmer must cultivate the land and produce so that farmer will eat. The producer must, the consumer must be also producer. And most importantly, there must be PDS. PDS means public distribution system, not only in food grains, but PDS in rights. That's why Narega, you must have seen Mahanarega, Narega. You know, Narega is not a small movement in India. Oslo University, and previously, you know, I was heading the Lal Bahadur Shastri. What people have got is economic arousal. Now, you know, since Biju Patnaik, son Naveen Patnaik did 30 kg of rice at 2 rupees. Now government of India has to also do the same thing. Now Tamil Nadu did something, so government of India has to do something. So when units become economically different, the federal government has also to imitate. It's not the federal government will always dictate the dispersed units. Dispersed unit can also induce the federal government to change its economic stance. So that's why India's resilience will be the highest if we have got grassroots production and grassroots consumption. That requires a little more economic. The index of economic dispersion in India is one of the lowest. The China is improving because index of economic dispersion in China is one of the highest in the world, and that of India is one of the lowest. China is not the highest, one of the highest. The highest is countries like South Korea, countries like Vietnam, countries like Taiwan. These are the countries where the economic dispersion is almost total. There is a small country, you know, Netherlands among Europe. All countries are languishing, but Netherlands is not, because Netherlands extent of dispersion, thanks to hostile condition of their dikes and polders, because the country is almost under the sea. So because of that, their economic response is total. Anything happens in the world, they are the first to respond. Fortunately, Indians are suffering. Most of the Indians are suffering. That's why response, you know, Bagehot had told that when you are in difficulty, don't tax the rich, tax the poor. Because they are used to sacrifice, they will sacrifice a little more. But when you become again strong, tax the rich and pay back the poor. That was called Bagehot cycle. So same thing, fortunately, is happening in India.